Record Store Nation. Happy summer. It feels like it's summer. I don't think it's officially summer if you look at calendars, which I do. I have this weird obsession with calendars, but you don't need to know. This isn't the calendar show. This is the Record Store, and this is episode 57 of the Record Store. And before we go on, of course, we have to thank our opening band there, Blueberry Pine Cones. Blueberry Pine Cones, a great nostalgia act. They're still around. I got to see them live not too far back, but very good. And thank you for such a powerful open to the episode. So you guys are the best, Blueberry Pine Cones. So welcome to Memphis in May. That's how we have to say it legally. I think that we're required to say it that way. So welcome to MIM, as it were. It's a very special episode of the Record Store. You know, the traditional concept is I grab an album from the wall of CDs over here, which is expanding. I'm going through I don't know, growth spurt isn't the right word, but I'm going through a situation where I want to complete the catalogs of many acts that I really like. So right now I'm in the middle of an Elton John completion, which, god damn, Elton John has like 50 or 60 albums or something. So this one's going to take a while. So anyway, I'm going through that right now. So, but anyway, so the traditional way of, you know how the episodes go, I grab an album at random, and the only way I throw them back is if it's greatest hits, or if, really, that's about it. Oh, greatest hits, or else if it's a band I just did recently, so I want to try to keep it fresh, so I'm not doing U2 every other episode, type of deal. So anyway, those are the only times I throw it back. So every once in a while we do a gimmick episode, so this is a gimmick episode where I have to grab a Memphis band because it's Memphis in May. And so, again, legally I have to say it that way. So I had to grab a Memphis band because that's how we do this. And so, because the theme of the network for the month of May. So anyway, so Brian sent me a list of 100, get this, 100 bands or solo performers that emanated from Memphis. And I think I had one on my list. I had one Memphis band of that whole list on my in my CD collection. And then he threw in, as an aside, oh yeah, and maybe Saliva. They might be from Memphis too. So anyway, Saliva is the ones. So I have a Saliva album, and you will find out at the end of this episode if that one album by Saliva is worthy of me wanting to complete their catalog as well. So the album is Back Into Your System. It is by Saliva. It's a band that I discovered because of WWE. It's another one of those bands. I've talked about a couple of them here and there on the Record Store where I discovered the band because WWE used a song of theirs in promoting something during commercials, promoting pay-per-views. They did video packages for performers. And Saliva songs seem to make the cut a bunch of times. So I heard a Saliva song by them on WWE, or a Saliva song on a WWE broadcast back in the day, and I really liked it. And so I had to seek them out, and I'm glad that I did, because when I listened to the album, it fit right into my hard rock wheelhouse, I would say. I really enjoyed their music, and so I was really glad that I found them, and I thought that was a really good choice by WWE to use these guys. So, anyway, they formed in 1996. They've had 12 albums. Most recently, they had one last year in 2023. They had their album Revelation, or as Lex Luger would say, Relevation. Back Into Your System, the album we're going to cover here, was their third album, came out in 2002. It hit number 19 on the Billboard charts, the album charts that year. Always was a huge single from this album. It hit number 51, which it felt bigger than number 51, but it hit number 51. I think it hit number 1 on the modern rock charts, so I think that's probably why I remember it so much stronger than 51. So it Back Into Your System, great album. They had a handful of songs that caught on at sporting events. You know, it was not necessarily intended. Per guitarist Wayne Swinney said that it just kind of happened. So I'm thinking that, well, you know, they didn't write these songs to be rock and roll sports anthems, but they just kind of happened. So I'm sure that it pays well, and I'm sure that the guys in the band didn't mind that fact. So their very first show was actually, they said, like I said, they formed in 1996. Their very first show as a band was, believe it or not, Halloween Night, 1996. The lead singer, Josie Sappington, and in some circles it's Josie Sappington Scott, so I'm not sure. I'll refer to him as probably Josie, just to keep it simple. But anyway, Josie Sappington, lead singer, was dressed as a nun because they started their career on Halloween night. So I thought that was kind of funny. So they have a really interesting story. I think one of the things that's so interesting about these guys that I had no idea until I did this research today is they entered a Grammy-sponsored regional competition versus other bands from Tennessee and Arkansas. So from the South, they're from the South, obviously, from Memphis. So not necessarily like an American Idol type of thing because it was sponsored by the Grammys itself. So kind of cool. And so they were in competition with other bands from the South, including, and I have to make mention of this band, Ashtray Babyhead. So anyway, so Saliva won. And believe it or not, they actually beat Ashtray Babyhead. I can't believe it because, I had such high expectations for those guys. So anyway, so they won the regional competition, Saliva did, and they advanced to the next round and they won again. So they kept on winning these Grammy-sponsored music-finding new band contest type deals. So they eventually got to the finals, which was in New York City, and they finished second behind a band called Save Ferris, who I've heard of, but I don't know anything about them. But I've heard the name. So they finished second. But anyway, finishing second in such a big national competition like this got them a lot of buzz and a lot of attention. They got signed, and their first album sold 10,000 copies. So that was in 96, 96. And so then by 2003, they were already touring, opening for Kiss, opening for Aerosmith. So they had really already made it at that point. So very cool. They've had a very tumultuous long run, lots of departures. We always talk about the revolving door on bands like this. It's very typical of that. They've got no members from the original band still left in Saliva, which is really interesting. So 2007, Ladies and Gentlemen came out. It was used in commercials. It was used as the theme song for WrestleMania 23. So again, that's another area where I really fell in love with these guys. 2008, a song called Don't Question My Heart was used as the theme song for ECW. Numerous other songs have been used by WWE. One of the most popular, I think, and you didn't really even know this was them, was Batista's theme song. Dave Batista, who is more well known now for Guardians of the Galaxy and other movie roles, but Dave Batista's theme song in wrestling was I Walk Alone, and that was Saliva. 2011, Josie Sappington Scott, the lead singer, departs. And at the time, he said it was to pursue Christian rock, or there's other reports that say it was to get sober and be a father. So I'm just going to go on record and say it was probably some combination of both. So anyway, so Josie Scott departs, the lead singer. They grab another guy by the name of Bobby Amaru, and he joins Saliva as the lead singer, and they forge on. They continue recording, and they stay together as Saliva at that point, even with a different singer. So they had planned a big reunion. They were going to bring back some of the original members in 2020, but of course COVID derailed that. In 2023, sadly, the original guitarist Wayne Swinney dies of a brain hemorrhage. He was 59 years old. Believe it or not, he was the only member that was with them from the very start. So they did have one guy who made it from the very beginning of the band till 2023 when he passed away. So they decided to continue. They decided to go on as a tribute to him. They didn't want to, throw in the towel, and they didn't want to call it a career because of him passing away. They weren't going to let that derail them. So Revelation came out in 2023. It had actually been recorded before Swinney had passed away, so his guitar does appear on that album. But it's another weird aspect of this is that Josie Scott himself now tours as Josie Scott's Saliva. So in looking at the chronology of the band, it appears that there are actually two Salivas out on the road. And there's the actual Saliva, which has 0 original members. And then there's Josie Scott's Saliva, who is the original lead singer. And now he's touring, how they just add the name, like Jeff Lynne's ELO. So they just added his name to the band name. And so apparently, there are two Salivas out there. So it's kind of like Gallagher. I think one of the Gallaghers died, but Gallagher and Gallagher 2. Nobody realized that there were two Gallaghers, the comedian with the stupid sledgehammer and the watermelon. So there were two. It was brothers, and one of them died. So now there is no more Gallagher 2. It's only Gallagher. So I don't know which one died. It could have been Gallagher or Gallagher 2. Don't know. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So we've got Saliva and we've got Josie Scott Saliva, which actually sounds kind of weird if you think about it. So this album, Back Into Your System, was generally well received by the critics. They said it was committed to the musicianship and it was a wall of sound. And spoiler alert, I will agree on both of those counts. So, album cover had a extreme close-up of a boombox and the back cover as well. So again, this was from 2002. So a boombox probably on its way out by that point, but I dare anybody to see this album cover now and kind of even know what a boombox is at this point. So anyway, it's kind of dated now, but it does have the lyrics, it does have credits in the album. There's the booklet in the CD, so thank you very much for giving me the lyrics. They are microscopic, however, so be prepared. If you're going to research and use the lyric sheets that come with this album, they are microscopic, so be prepared to squint. So the credits are the general, the usual suspects, the family, the friends, Jesus, the musicians that are involved. But I did spot Chrissie Hynde's name on there as far as a thank you, so I thought that was kind of cool, probably as inspiration. I don't know if they ever met or worked with her or whatever, but probably as inspiration for being such a badass, because she is. And then the last line of the credits was, "Keep the stool samples, we out." So I thought that was worth noting. So anyway, the album is 12 tracks. It is 49 minutes, just a shade under 49 minutes. So what do you say we get started? So first song is called Superstar 2. It starts with the gimmick of a little kid on an answering machine, or a little kid's voice speaking on the telephone. The little kid says, "I want to be a rock star just like you." So it's probably, I would imagine, Josie Scott's kid talking to him, and they recorded it or something, or it's some facsimile of a conversation that they had. So kind of a cute open. But anyway, Superstar 2, a grinding open. Scott is singing about how he's on his way to stardom. He gets the lifestyle he's about to have, and he's not going to sit around complaining about it, which is refreshing, because a lot of times these guys complain about the lifestyle that they have, and they're millionaires. So one interesting line on Superstar 2 is that he made it to age 27, which is the cursed age that so many rock stars have died at. It's a cursed number. So the Janis Joplins and the Jim Morrisons of the world that have passed away at the age 27. There seems to be a consistency about the age of 27. So he mentions, he doesn't go into detail about it. He just says, "I made it past 27," which is pretty cool. So this song, to me, honestly, I don't know that I would go here if I didn't know these guys were from Memphis, but it feels like a latter-day Leonard Skinner-ish kind of sound to me. And even the lyrics, they are Southern. They're proud of it. It just came across very Leonard Skinner sounding to me. It's one of the only songs on this album that I could say that about. There's another band that I think they sound quite a bit like, and I think they're very much in that Candlebox, genre of the hard rock, but with some melodic touches that I really, really like. But in this particular song, as an opener for the album, I just got a very Leonard Skinner-ish vibe from this song. The whole, like I said, the whole kind of Southern, not only the Southern-ish lyrics talking about it, but also the sound. And again, how they embraced it and how they were proud of it. So I think Superstar 2 is a kickoff to this album that grew on me, and it grew on me because the lyrics were so strong. So good start to the album. So, all right, second song is called Weight of the World. It is an excellent song, just a melodic song. It totally draws you in. Now, on this one, I think that much like the rest of this album, I think it sounds just like Three Doors Down, which to me is a good thing because I love Three Doors Down. It sounds like the weight of the world. It sounds like it's the cries of a guy who is on the verge of some kind of major breakdown, and he's doing his best to keep it together. And his girl is there, but she's not doing much to help. So I really like the juxtaposition. I'm going to use a big word there, but the juxtaposition of that meltdown scenario but in the background of it's such a melodic, appealing sound. The music itself is so melodic, so appealing, and yet it's such a deep message of this guy is about to have a nervous breakdown and he's about to crack. So I think it's a great song. Multiple tempo changes, which if you're a fan of the show, you know I really like that stuff. The harmonies, just tons of great harmonies on this song. I really need to see these guys live, whether it's Saliva or Josie Scott's Saliva. I need to see these guys live to see Weight of the World live because it's just a killer song. Just really, really enjoyed it in the second spot. All right. Believe it or not, we're only 2 songs in, but we're at the halfway point of the episode, so we're going to take a break. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to pay some sponsors, and we'll be right back with side 2 of Saliva's Back Into Your System on the Record Store. Stay with us, guys.